Hello, in this Solidity video, we are going to look at loops. And loops allow you to, well, essentially loop over code. They allow you to repeat code again and again and again based on a certain condition. So you don't have to, if for example, you want to execute, I don't know, a bunch of code, let's say 10 lines 100 times, you don't have to manually duplicate that 100 times, so you have a total of 500 lines of code. You don't have to do that. You can just use a loop. Again, if you have used JavaScript, C++, PHP, Java, and like many other languages, you'll feel right at home. So there's two main loops here. There's the for loop and the while loop. Both work in a very similar fashion. So let's just go through the for loop first. So start it off by doing for. I'm just doing it in the set method because it's just easier, but you can put it anywhere really. So for, and the three main parts, and the three main parts are separated by semicolons. And the first part is setting up any variables. So we would do, let's say, int I. This is a very common variable name for loops, equals 0. So you set up any initial variables, and these will be used for the condition. And now you put the actual condition itself. So while I is less than 10, and we do I++. So this just will iterate it. So every iteration, it'll just add 1 to I, and it'll eventually hit 10. It won't run anymore. And now in here, you just put all the code that you want to run. So let's just see what we can do. So we're getting a value passed in by the user. We're putting it in stored data. So let's actually let's do this. Okay, what we're gonna do is, instead of assigning this to 0, we'll assign it to x. And yeah, that's just moaning because it's not a. It needs to be a integer. Okay, that's fine now. So this assigns it to x, and what we'll do in here, we'll do stored. Now we'll do x plus equals I. Now we'll just equals 1. Actually, no, we'll do plus plus. So x just gets incremented 1 every single time this is run, and depending on what value we put in for x, now actually no, that won't work. You'll just always hit the same value of 10. Okay, I got this. We'll initially set a value of 0 here, and we'll just increase this value. So store data plus plus, and we'll get rid of this. And if we run this now, so if I click create, if I click get, we just get 0. So if I set it to 0, set get, we get 10. And the reason we get 10 is we put 0 here, it goes to this loop, it assigns 0 to I, and says while I is less than 10 and it's initially 0, I++, the store data plus plus, so store data, whatever that value is in there, which is 0, add 1 to it, so it becomes 1. Then it goes over this, and now I is 1, and it keeps doing this till it hits 10. Watch what happens if we set it to, let's just create a new contract, so we get a fresh value. So if we set it to 7, set get, you only have 3 because it starts at 7. There's only 3 sort of steps before it hits the condition where it breaks. So 7, 8, 9. And because the condition is less than 10, it breaks at 10. So that's a loop. And loops are fantastic. They allow you to repeat code again and again. So now let me show you a while loop. So while. So the difference with the while loop is, actually we'll literally replicate what we've done here. The main difference with a while loop is it only has a condition. It's sort of useful. It's useful when you already have the variables set up. Maybe you've used them for something else, wherever you saw the loops or other conditions. And inside of the actual loop, you do the incrementing part. So all you would actually have is the condition. So if I do, first of all, I'll create a int I equals x. while I is less than 10. As you can see, we are going to match this exact same loop, and here we do I++, and because I++ gets run at the end of the loop, this last part is after all of this is done. So this is going to be at the end, and we just do stored data plus plus. So if we delete that, create a new contract, let's do get, let's do the exact same condition, same values, put in 10, set, no, actually no, it was 0 we initially set. Create, get, we get 0, let's set it to 0, get, we get 10, and let's delete the contract, create a new one. Let's say if we put in a value of 7, set, get, we get 3. That's the difference between a while loop and a for loop. While loops are useful if the the parameters, the variables that you'll be using as part of the condition are already created, already set up, and you just put the what you do at the end of each loop at the end of it. And there's actually one extra thing that I want to show you, and that is the break and continue statement. So the break and continue statement is pretty cool, and it'll work in the for or while loop, so we'll just do it in this one. So break, what break does is it just exits the while loop. Break just gets out of that loop and it just continues with the rest of the code. So if I were to put break, for example, so if, for example, I put break, and now if I run it, click create, and I set it to 0, for example, it just shows 0, even if I set 7, because it immediately breaks out of it. There is another cool one called continue, and continue just skips over that particular iteration. So if I create a new contract and I set it to 0, without this, it would give us a value of 10 in stored data. With it, that is very weird. So create. There's something about pending transactions. Okay, that's extremely weird, that is. Okay. So okay, that is. Let me just load it up again. Still got all that stuff here. Let me just close that old one down. Run it. Click create. Okay, so if I do 0, set, get. Okay, so that's very weird. So okay, ignore that. Just ignore that. So continue. What it does, it just skips the iteration and goes to the next one, and obviously it's just skipping all the iterations in this case. But what you could do is based on a particular condition, and let's say if I equals 5, it just skips that particular iteration of the loop. I don't know why this is happening. I'll have a look at this. But yeah, that is it for this tutorial on loops. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And as usual, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Solidity tutorial.